My guest today is a best-selling author, a body language expert, and a corporate speaker. He's been seen on CBS, ABC, NBC, and Fox. And as a speaker, he educates and he trains sales teams how to effectively use their bodies to communicate more effectively and to know what the other side is actually truly thinking. From gestures as simple as a correct handshake to as complex as micro-expressions, body language can make up to 55% of our total communication. He's also a medical miracle. He was one of the first of a handful of people to be selected for a clinical research program in which he received not only a kidney, but a stem cell transplant and bone marrow transplant from his donor. He is Michael C. Anthony, and he joins me in the studio right now.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Michael, welcome. I'm almost afraid to shake your hand.
Yeah, everyone's afraid to shake my hand, but well, there we go.
Okay, so
beautiful.
First of all, thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And you're Canadian by birth, but you've been living in the U.S. for a while.
Actually, American by birth, but raised in Canada.
Oh, really?
From the time I was 2 years old, yeah.
Okay.
Born in Niagara Falls, New York, just a stone's throw away.
Okay,
Yep.
And I understand you have a bit of history with 100 Huntley Street.
I do. It's funny. My parents gave their testimony here 35 years ago.
Wow, that's like right
Long
back
time.
at the beginning,
And
Michael.
the greatest thing for me was, this is before VCRs and everything. They let us.
You're dating yourselves using the word VCR.
That's right. But they let us skip school to watch, so that was
Wow.
great.
So you love Huntley Street.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Been part of the history's long. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, we have a mutual friend who told me about your ministry, told me about the gifts that you have and what you do.
Yep.
And we reached out to you, and I want to thank you for coming here. But before we get to actually what you're doing today, we love telling stories here at Huntley Street because we believe that stories can empower people, stories can identify with people. And so we'd love to get a little bit of history of who Michael C. Anthony is. Where did you grow up? How did you grow up? And what's your faith journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Grew up in St. Catharines.
Okay.
And the church we attended is Central Community Church in St. Catharines, but I remember way back in the day playing street hockey in my driveway. This bus would go by, red and white bus, and we'd shoot balls at it when it went by on Sunday mornings, right? But we didn't realize it was part of, at the time, Central had a huge bus ministry.
Okay.
And my aunt gave her heart to the Lord and told my mother, and then it spread to us. So we attended there and got involved in the bus ministry, but it was the actual moment when I gave my life to Christ, along with my brother, was at the movie. I'm sure you remember The Cross and the Switchblade.
Of course,
yeah.
yes.
And Nicky Cruz, and who was in it, Pat Boone was David Wilkerson.
Yeah.
And so that had a real effect on us. And thank God we were saved at a young age and stayed on track, so didn't have to go through some of the difficulties that people do. And I give credit to our faith lasting, especially through those rough years when you're very impressionable going through high school. We were really...
How old were you when you came to faith?
About 12.
12, okay.
Yeah. But we were really involved in the youth group and had believers as friends and lived quite close to the church, which sort of helped as well. And that's kind of what I give credit to, because a lot of the friends I had in high school that weren't believers got themselves into some issues, and some were in jail and things like that. And thank God I was able to avoid a lot of that.
You know, sometimes we think it's more powerful to have a testimony where we got out there into the world and got so lost and it got so crazy, and then we came back to the faith.
Right.
But I think we do ourselves a disservice when we say, oh, sorry, I was raised in the church, I didn't do drugs, I didn't go crazy. But I think that testimony is equally, if not more
very
powerful,
strong.
God's staying power.
Yeah, the other side may make for a more dramatic story,
Right.
And show God's ability to truly change. But yeah, there's definitely some thankfulness on my end for just staying stable and going through it and not having to face some things.
Yeah, I mean, I love how it was a pastor who really kept you in church and kept you from kind of going off the rails. I had a youth pastor like that too, who chased me, chased after me, who wouldn't let me leave.
Right.
And I don't mean physically, but he just loved me and said, just keep coming, keep coming.
Yeah.
And because he accepted me, he modeled for me maybe what God's love is like, that he accepts me for for who I am.
Yeah, and in saying my testimony, it's not to say I wasn't a bit of a troublemaker or got into some mischief. Nobody's perfect, right? So yeah, of course I needed some steering along the way, absolutely.
Okay, so now you're living in the U.S., in Florida. Tell us a little bit about what you do down there, and then I want to talk about some things that we can try here in the studio.
I'm a presenter and a speaker. I speak to corporate groups, and I teach about body language. I've always been a student of body language. And
I feel like I gotta
get your posture set up.
Okay, there. Okay.
But I wrote a book, and it's called Body Language Secrets: How to Read Minds by Reading Bodies. Okay. And body language, as you mentioned in the intro, makes up for 55% of our communication, which is a lot.
It is.
38% is the tone of our voice, the pitch, the speed, the volume. Only 7% is the actual words that we use.
Only 7%.
Only 7%. So yeah, so when you're working on something that is if you have to give a speech or a sermon or anything like that, people are really more effective by what they see and how it's said as opposed to the actual words.
Well, I feel like I should be taking notes because after 14 years, I'm pastoring again, so I'm speaking almost every Sunday morning from the podium. Okay.
But you know how you might hear one person speak, whether it be a pastor or a speaker in general, and you might it just doesn't connect for some reason because it may have been too rehearsed and too studied. But authenticity just shows in people even though sometimes I'm sure you've heard somebody give a testimony and they weren't the most eloquent person in the world, but it really spoke to you in a way and it really affected you because the authenticity shines through.
It was genuine. Yeah. Okay, so you're living down there and you come on some of the talk shows and you do analysis of what, a body language, position, what?
Yeah, I do things like the presidential debates, which is very hot right now.
That probably keeps you busy.
Yeah, absolutely. These days it sure does. And yeah, we talk about, what does it mean? What does it mean when somebody crosses their arms? Aside from it potentially being chilly, but what does it mean? Is it good to cross your arms? Is it not good to cross your arms? And since we brought it up and people are wondering, we can talk about that for a second. It means a couple things. Two different extremes, actually. So when somebody crosses the arms, it could mean they are being defiant. It's a gesture in which they're protecting themselves. Historically, it means they're protecting the vital organs. Okay. So I'm being defensive to you right now. You may be speaking to me. I don't really want to hear it, or I disagree. And so this is how I subconsciously tell you, or even subconsciously tell myself. But on the other end of the spectrum, somebody who might be an expert at something. For example, a real estate agent, for example, on their business card might have a picture of them like this.
Right, I've seen that. It's very professional looking.
Yeah, and you're saying, I'm an expert, I have knowledge, I have wisdom. So with all body language, you sort of have to draw a baseline. You have to say to yourself, okay, did that person move into a certain position at a certain time for a certain reason? You can't just automatically say he crossed his arm, he's being, he's got a negative defensive gesture there, and so therefore he doesn't like what I'm saying. No, is it 55 degrees in the room? Maybe it's cold. So you have to sort of gather some information together before you actually make a call. You don't want to, embarrass yourself or embarrass somebody else or think the wrong way about somebody when they could be as innocent as anything. Okay.
Well, since I have you here, I'm going to use this to my advantage. Okay. I'm a married man. I'm wondering, as a man, when we're having a conversation with our spouse, maybe a disagreement or something, is there something that we as husbands, as men, that we shouldn't do, or the things that we should do to show that we are listening? Because honestly, sometimes I do this because I'm just it's comfortable for me. But what are some things that maybe we should or shouldn't do?
Keep your body open at all times, which would mean, of course, never cross the arms. But arms are out like this, and if you want to show yourself as attentive, a little bit of a forward lean, chin is up, and eye contact. Eye contact is one of the most important things with any body language, because if your wife is talking to you and you want to be listening or seem like you're listening, if you are checking your phone or if you're looking down at something on the table, that's going to communicate even at a level that she doesn't understand and she might not say, hey, you're not looking at me, but it's communicating something, even something like on a subconscious level that people aren't necessarily understanding, but she might walk away and say, Joe wasn't even listening to that.
Okay, I'll take note of that. And we only have a couple of minutes left here, so I want to get to some of the things we talked about. Handshakes. You say you can tell a lot about a person.
Love them or hate them. Handshakes are
Okay.
here to stay, right? Historically, a handshake started like 500 BC. And the reason we shake hands, because people wonder why.
Yeah.
It was soldiers way back, put both your arms out like this. They would go like this and touch each other's arms to make sure they weren't armed. To make sure they weren't armed.
Oh,
yeah. So
okay.
that's where, historically, where it comes
Okay.
from. So let's talk about the controller. This one's called the controller, and we've all received these, whether it be in a business meeting or in church, right? When we shake hands, we get all these weird things. What do they really mean?
Yeah.
Controller is when I'm pulling.
Oh, I don't like when people do that
No.
to me. Hey, how you doing?
Yes.
I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, it's a sign of dominance. Somebody in their mind, they want to communicate to you that I'm in charge.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Let's talk about the lobster claw. Okay?
Lobster claw.
The lobster claw is this. So put your hand or shake my hand. Hey, Joe, how you doing? And I pinch.
Oh, the pinch.
Yeah, we've all received it, right?
I went right away to somebody who does the pinch.
Okay, yeah.
Drives me nuts.
Yeah. This is somebody who is non-committal, doesn't want to make contact. They don't want to give the full skin to skin, and they just give a pinch and walk away like that. Okay. The politician's handshake, and you've probably given it. You've probably received it. I've given it before, but there's a secret. The politician's handshake. We'll explain it first. We shake hands, and I can get you here with the other hand, or on the elbow, or on the forearm.
I've done that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And the reason they call it the politician's handshake is because it lacks sincerity most times. If I were to meet you for the first time and say, hey, Joe, how you doing? It's a little touchy-feely because we don't have the relationship, right?
Okay.
But if it's a friend of yours that you've known them for a long time, maybe you haven't seen them for a long time. Hey, Joe, how's it going? Good to see you. Then that's more authentic.
Context changes.
That's more authentic.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, we have probably 1 minute. I saw Kleenexes here, and I see water. Are you going to make
one
me
more
cry?
handshake. One more handshake. Let's talk about this.
Okay.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes. All right. Okay. Open your eyes. That's the sweaty palm.
Okay.
This is a sweaty palm. This is somebody that's nervous, and here's your Kleenex.
Oh, I'm glad that's all it was for. I wasn't sure where this was going.
Sweaty palm is somebody that is very nervous, and you can take that as information to help that person get more comfortable.
Okay.
But really quickly, if we have the time, the perfect handshake is this.
Okay.
The hands come together, we shake 2 or 3 times, but the most important part of a handshake is eye contact. So you shake a couple times, drop, and then maintain eye contact. And the conversation, which may only last 5 seconds, but if you just shake hands like this, how you doing, and walk away, then that's a disconnect.
Okay. Yeah. All right, well, people can learn more about this in your book, Body Language Secrets, How to Read Minds by Reading Bodies.
There you go.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing with us.
It.
I hope my body language...
That's a good handshake right there.
That's a good handshake. I hope my body language was okay. Make sure you stay with us. We'll be right back with more Huntley.